Stephen, yeah, that was a strange one, wasn't it? I was half expecting something from them because every time the Yellow Vests turn, every time we show up in Dublin, Antifa come out against us for various reasons. They see us. There's one reason that I've been told is that Eriki were when Yellow Vest Ireland first started, Eriki tried to take it over, and they were told to get lost. So they're sore losers now. You know, they wanted to infiltrate it and use it for their own purposes. Not being very collaborative sort of people. So there's a bit of like a sore loserness there as well. The fact that they're very much against the Irish Freedom Party, of which I'm a member, and they're trying to make out, because I'm involved in it. They're trying to make out that it's just a vehicle for the Irish Freedom Party, which it plainly isn't. The Irish Freedom Party wasn't mentioned at all on Saturday because it was a Yellow Vest event. I felt justified to mention the Irish Freedom Party briefly, give it a brief, pardon me, plug the previous Saturday, because like it was just impromptu. I turned up and there was no organisation from that outfit, Save Our Rights UK. There's a couple of people gathered around, so rather than just let people drift off, I pulled out the old megaphone, introduced myself, and then started handing around the megaphone. And somebody talked about politicians not giving any opposition or not providing any leadership in the pandemic, and then I says, right, this is. So I said, well, the Irish Freedom Party is a new party that it's the only party north and south north and south that does oppose lockdowns north and south, which is pretty much the case. So it was totally in context and relevant to what was going on. So it was a 30-second statement, and that was it. And the yellow vest. I pulled out the yellow vest. I had it with me just in case there was an opportunity to wear it and represent the yellow vest as part of a collaborative group. But the umbrella wasn't there. The umbrella of the collaborative group wasn't there. And when I was reading out the statement, it talked about creating a movement, and I says, "Oh well, there's a movement already that just slots that can slot in with this." So I offered it to people. Look, I invite you to bring a yellow vest because it's totally. You can be DUP member, you can be Irish Freedom Party member, you can be Sinn Féin, you can be Alliance, Ulster Unionist, SDLP, whatever, monster raving Communist Party, blah blah blah, and still be a yellow vest as long as you agree to the principles of the yellow vest. Anyway, all that by way of to explain where I was coming from, and it wasn't an attempt to hijack or anything like that. I did want to go ahead because out of the people who were there, there was a vote taken to go to Cornmarket, and Rhonda didn't want to do that, and Rhonda didn't want to do any sort of collaboration with the LFS, and she wanted to keep going. I saw later that she'd created an event for the city hall. I said, right, okay, if she's not going to go to Cornmarket, on our own, even if I don't go. I mean, there's people. I don't want people turning up and then who'd been there the previous Saturday and and don't use social media and thought that it was going to be Cornmarket. So we better do something at Cornmarket at least. So that's where I came. That's where I was coming from. Regarding Saturday past, as I said, I sort of half expected something. The scale at the start was pretty vicious. Thankfully, we got protection from the PSNI. Otherwise, I think I would have got pulled limb from limb there. They were targeting me specifically. I just didn't engage with them on an upfront basis because that's the best way is just not engage and get on and do our things, and that should be our. I think that should be our policy is just trying not to engage with them. You may have noticed that I was trying to direct speakers on the day away from giving attention to Antifa, stroke Stalinist, stroke various Republican groups, and focus on the people who'd come along to hear our message and interact with them. Let's not give them any, the limelight that they're starved of. I probably sound a bit heavy, a bit heavy and somber and all this. It's just been a sort of a somber day. It's a wet, rainy day, and I have somber days, and I haven't really talked to anybody yet today. Um, yeah. So, man, thanks for your support, and thanks for the great speeches and your powerful expression. Really appreciate it, man. Really appreciate it, man. I hope you can. I read somewhere that you might have some reservations about the LFS, so I'm happy. I'd love to hear what those are. Um, if I haven't already addressed them. Oh, another major reason for the schism between Yellow Vest and Antifa is over the free speech rallies in the South towards the tail end of last year. The Minister for Justice was talking about bringing in hate speech laws. And our argument as Yellow Vest was that they were unnecessary because it was going to curtail freedom of speech, that there were adequate laws for everything that you could say that was a crime, like incitement, everything that you could say that could, lead to crime or, incitement of violence and things like that were adequately covered. Racial aggravation and things like that would have been covered too. So there's no need for a hate speech law, which really puts the onus. If you say so, if you said something that right now wouldn't be considered a crime, and in good faith, but the other person either felt bad or more importantly, said that they felt offended by it, then they could use that to prosecute you and shut you down. So it was all about the perception in the other person, and if it came from a protected minority, so it sets up a sort of like a two-tier system. If you're from a protected minority, you can hold up the minority card and say that was hate speech, even if it wasn't. Yeah. And then curtail the other person's speech. But if you're not from a minority, you don't have that privilege. So it created a privileged class. So that's why we offend, libertarian liberty point of view. There's no need for hate speech laws. In fact, it's damaging. It curtails free speech. And they were for them and we were against them. So that it was Antifa, and one of the leaders of Antifa, Leah Doherty, was agitating for these hate speech laws, and the NGOs were saying they were needed as well because of all this inverted commas racism that they were manufacturing. There was no epidemic of racism etc. in the South. Well, yeah, okay, maybe it's one way, which is on whites, but anyway. So Leah was agitating for this, and it was a picture of her handing Charlie, an unfortunate picture of her handing the Minister for Justice a brown envelope, which probably just had the her demands inside. And then he said he would take it seriously, and yes, he agreed. So we got out on the street, and we probably stopped them actually, and then we made a bitter enemy. Antifa will never forgive us for that. So everywhere we pop up, they're going to say call us racists and Nazis and whatever. Basically, any grassroots populist type movement is going to be targeted by that isn't astroturfed, and the hidden hands behind it. At some remove, controlled by the elites to some degree, they're going to come out and attack it because that's their territory. It's competition, and it's the culture war. So. Also, because the LVS is an organisation and offers a path to power. With the if we get 5,000 to 10,000 people on the streets in Dublin, we can take down the government. Whereas they wouldn't, this Save Our Rights thing is only really getting started, and it doesn't really offer a path to power so much yet. So that's why they came out so much against Yellow Vest, because it's up and running and it offers a path to power. So there's various reasons there. A key demand of the Yellow Vest movement in Ireland is citizens initiated referenda, which would put direct democracy right back in the hands of the people. And this is, the elites and their sort of like political classes don't like the sound of that, because they can't impose stuff from above and sort of like ram stuff in and then use the press to bully anybody who disagrees with it, and calls you X, Y, and Z, Nazi, old-fashioned, conservative, blah blah blah. Because of course, like the people are much more sensible and much more conservative in some respects. Let's say socially conservative and looking for economic justice, whereas the elites want to offer like a socially liberal and economically neoliberal system where anything goes socially and anything goes economically. So and anything goes. The first breaks down your society, your family, your faith, and your nation, and the second and economic neoliberalism, turns everything into a race to the bottom in terms of, just a free market, absolute free market dominance in everything. So there's no protection for workers' rights and things like that. Yeah, you get into this whole gig economy, etc. Erosion of wages and things like that. Not to mention sky high house prices in the cities, lack of planning, massive sprawling cities, Agenda 21, emptying out of the countryside, etc., etc., etc. Here, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. I'll wait until you've got a moment, then we can have a chat. A dialogue's always better than monologues, isn't it? All right, buddy. Thanks. Hey, buddy. I saw that Save Our Rights UK page. I can't remember if that's the name of the page or the name of the event that we all met at the first time around. Had something for this Saturday, and then I saw it was cancelled. So that's that. Somebody created an event. There's about 5 people going and 15 interested, and then it got cancelled apparently. Maybe somebody made a mistake and cancelled the event. Maybe it's been reset up. Yeah, so that's as much as I've seen about it. And then because it was that group that sets events all over the UK, I thought it might be, distributed again, widely distributed. So I think I had a look on their main page and saw that there's maybe a few other events in other places as well. But I didn't check every event. I just saw a few other events, and then that was it. Because I'm focused on the Dublin thing. I'm focused on bringing down the government in Dublin.